let's have our presenter come up. Sari Raskin is from the Community Foundation of Northern Virginia. I will hand it over to her to tell you about the amazing work they're doing and how we can help.
Thank you. So I just have to say, the reason I'm here today is actually because of Jen, because she's involved with the foundation. So I look forward to telling you a little bit afterwards, hopefully, when we're having Q&A, I'd love to tell you a little bit more about the other things that we're doing. But in this presentation, I'm going to focus on one project. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the foundation, and then I'm going to tell you about one project that we're working on right now, which I think is very relevant to all of you in the room. As Jen said, my name is Sari Raskin. I'm the Director of Grants and Community Leadership at the Community Foundation for Northern Virginia. And I don't know how much you know about a community foundation, but we are actually, we kind of live in two worlds. We are a funder. We give out grants and scholarships to nonprofits and individuals who are going to school, usually undergraduate students. But we also are a 501c3 ourselves, so we ask people to give us money. It's a little bit of an odd kind of relationship. We kind of fit in both worlds. And we have many donors who establish donor advised funds. They usually get a tax deduction when they open the fund. And we have multiple donor advised funds. Some people know where they want to give their donations to, others don't, and we help them make those decisions as well. And then we also we give out grants, as I mentioned earlier, and we are focused around Northern Virginia. So there are community foundations all over the country. We are focused around the entire region, and we have Northern Virginia in our name. And as I mentioned earlier, we're experts on local resources and local needs. Our mission is to grow philanthropy, to respond to critical need, and to seed innovation. And I said, again, our service area is our geographic area is listed here as well. So how do we meet critical needs by giving out grants, but we also seed innovation. And how we do that sometimes is by providing thought leadership around the region. And we do that by offering our Innovation Breakfast Series events. One such event happened around community wealth building. I'm gonna spend some time talking about community wealth building today. In May of 2017, Ted Howard, that guy right over there, came and spoke with us about this outstanding project that was happening in Cleveland. And basically, this group of anchor institutions, the eds and meds in Cleveland in a certain area, the hospitals and there's University Hospital, Case Western University Hospital, University Hospital and the Cleveland Clinic and Case Western University, they were all situated in the same geographic area. But the challenge was the people that were living in that geographic area were low income and they weren't benefiting from having these strong anchors in the area. So the anchors got together, started having discussions about how we could basically create a systems approach to economic development, taking all of those anchors and building a new model to employ and also lift those individuals who are living there out of poverty. And they did that primarily through creating worker-owned businesses, laundry, lettuce growing, and a solarization company. And basically these anchors came together and started brainstorming, okay, how can we help the people in our specific community? And this is where the Community Foundation comes in. So we looked at that model and we thought to ourselves, wait a minute, Northern Virginia, and I was talking to someone a few moments ago, Northern Virginia is very unusual, as you all know, right? If you're in Tysons, you would never know there was poverty. You would never know there are people in need. We, of course, unfortunately, know a lot of people who are in need and know a lot of organizations that are meeting those needs. So we see ourselves in a unique position within the region, right? So we are a foundation. We have a wonderful relationship with our government, especially Fairfax County. We have relationships with many of the anchors, right, that we could potentially bring to the table. And we have opportunities, and we are also I think we're a very entrepreneurial foundation. Not all foundations are thinking outside of the box. We are. So we came together and thought to ourselves, okay, how can we engage in this work based on Ted Howard's model that he presented us in 2017? So since 2017, we have basically come together, we've brought together groups of people who are very excited about thinking creatively about this issue. At the end of January, we finally have a meeting scheduled with the key anchors in our region. And the anchors in our region happen to be Inova, who was very excited, and we got really lucky, honestly, because Stephen Jones, who's head of Inova, came from Cleveland. So that was an easy sell, right? Because he got it. So we sat with him, literally 30 minutes he gave us. It was perfect. He said, I'm in. I understand this model and I'm in. And he was the beginning. So we have Inova at the table. We have GMU at the table, which is a huge regional anchor. And we have the county, which has been an anchor all along in helping us think this through. And we also have FCPS, so Fairfax School System. So all of us are coming together at the end of January. Again, as I said earlier, we as a foundation are a little unique. You know, we we have relationships with businesses, we have relationships with government, and the nonprofits, of course. But we are trying to figure out how we engage small to mid-sized businesses. And let me back up and say, in this assessment that we did of the region in this area of community wealth building, we recognized that we had to focus on a specific area, similar to Cleveland, for our initial assessment, because we can't look at the full region and figuring out, okay, how are we going to solve poverty? How are we going to lift people out of poverty? So we identified the area along the Route 1 corridor, South County, as our specific geographic area that we're focusing on at the present time. What we learned about that area is we can have all the regional anchors together, but we don't have an understanding truly or access to the small and mid-sized businesses along the Route 1 corridor and in South County. And so that is our next challenge, right? We're bringing all the anchors together, which is great at the end of January, but our next challenge, I think, is to figure out who exists along the Route 1 corridor in South County from the small to mid-sized businesses, and that's our next challenge. So I think that's a challenge I'm bringing to all of you, but I would also mention the following, which is we would love to have you all involved in the foundation. I'd love to tell you more about our work. Jen is specifically involved in the Business Women's Giving Circle, which is an opportunity for businesswomen to come together and impact girls, actually specifically in the STEM area, girls and young women, and we invest in them, and some of the programs actually are STEM related to entrepreneurship as well. So that's an opportunity to get engaged, and there are other opportunities as well. I'd love to tell you more about the foundation and our other work that we're doing as well.
I'll be moderating today. Sorry, I'm running a little late. Okay, so everyone has feedback and questions. Please keep them short and concise and positive as well. So without further ado, Russ, go ahead.
Familiar with that South County area, and it's really close to Potomac, Prince William. Have you reached out to Prince William to see if they would help do a joint county initiative?
So the truth is, we are lucky. We have a lot of relationships with Prince William also, and the Chamber actually too, and Debbie Jones, right? I think yes, we do, and that will be someone we reach out to as well. We're moving in that direction. That's why I'm here actually just to hear your thoughts as we begin our work there. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Could you say your company name?
Hi, I'm Rosemary Savino with Gravitate. I've worked with community foundations in other parts of the country, so thank you for doing the great work in the local community. It's awesome. You mentioned you have a really good working relationship with the county. I'm pretty sure that they keep records on all those businesses. I don't know how you go about getting access. It's public information, but getting a dump, you can get real geographic information, contact information. Worst case scenario, people have to get their businesses refiled every year. So that relationship you can leverage, I think, to get in touch with some of those businesses.
Jen?
Jen Dalton with Brenier. Would you mind sharing like 3 examples of roles or what you would need from small businesses? Is it employment opportunities? Is it funding? Is it like, what do you envision that could look like, just to give the group a sense of that?
Yes. So I think that the reality is I think 2 things. One, we'd love to have a group of small businesses form almost a thought leadership group for us, right? To be kind of this group that we could brainstorm with and think creatively with. That's the first thing. Similar to how we do with the anchors. So we have an anchor group and we have a small to mid-sized business group. The other thing is getting an idea of really what the opportunities are. I mean, I think that the reality is we are trying to figure out ways to offer employment opportunities to people who don't have access to them, right? So we have to figure out what opportunities exist, and I think that, again, would be what we would need to find out. Is this a realistic expectation of asking small to mid-sized business to think differently about hiring people who aren't necessarily trained, or how do we go about training to make sure that you have people you potentially could hire in your geographic area? Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, John with Fish and Explore, and you touched on a couple of things. I think with what you were just saying, getting a little clearer picture of what you're looking for. I think if you guys can possibly say with small mid-sized businesses, participate in some of the training people that you're looking at and saying, hey, these people aren't necessarily employable in this particular area, but we can get them through the first part of a first 6 weeks of training either with some sort of assist or something, because I mean, you know, as small businesses, we're all looking at, you know, sorry, it's a little bit of what's in it for us,
Right.
you know, and so if it's going to be a great worker, but that great worker doesn't necessarily have the training that we need to get them going right away, the expense for us to do that might not, you know, the balance might not be there. So I think there's a good opportunity though for you all to be able to help and kind of bridge some of that gap.
Tony?
As the foundation is in its other areas, is it operated, or would you say it operates along the same lines of, say, like a chamber model, like a chamber of commerce model?
From which perspective? In what way?
Yeah, a chamber, since they're engages the community, has events, has speaking, sessions and things like that. Because what you're trying to do is draw businesses in to meet, the people who are involved in the program, but also draw more people into the program.
Right.
If you're offering something that's, say, along the lines of like a free chamber model, where, for instance, you have businesses who are coming in and engaging with you, where you're promoting the businesses and doing events on a fairly regular basis, like, say, a monthly networking event, where you're featuring some company or somebody, the people who you're working with, or the people who are in the training programs with you, are at those events, and what are they doing? They're meeting and engaging with the business leaders who are coming to your event. So now what you're doing is creating a chemistry.
Right, so I have to say, we luckily have a nice relationship with a variety of chambers. So there may be an opportunity to what you're also suggesting, I think, because I'm not sure we have the capacity within the organization. And again, this is a portion of what we do at the foundation is, as I said at the beginning, really we're about meeting critical needs and seeding innovation, but that really is mostly in the form of giving out grants and scholarships. So this is a kind of a one-off that we got excited about and we see ourselves as having a role. But I think what you're saying is, and I think this could be a great way to move forward, is continuing to build stronger relationships with the chambers that we have relationships with and figure out ways to partner to bring this segment into our discussion in a deeper way.
What you did with the fundraiser last month?
At the our gala, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That's the model.
Right.
That where if you look at all the different businesses and all the different business owners and community leaders who were there in that, at that event, just do something. It's not necessarily a fundraiser, but just do something like that on like a monthly or bi-monthly basis.
Right.
To draw people in, to get attention, and get people involved, because that's the moment where you can bring everybody together.
Right.
And can recruit.
Right. And what you're saying, if I'm understanding what you're saying is, there's value, of course, in continuing to bring businesses together, and maybe we serve in a role in doing that to continue to build relationships with them. Exactly.
Yes.
Right.
Brooke Walker, Cox Business. I want to know, do you know what the challenges are for that area for employment? Is it transportation? Is it training? Is it there's not enough work there? So I'm
I think
familiar with Cleveland.
Yes.
So
Oh, you are. Okay.
so I understand that dynamic, but I'm not familiar with the area you're talking about.
So I think it's all the above.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that it's a very challenging because of transportation. I think that people are not trained. I'm learning a lot about how we assume people are trained for certain at a certain level, and there's a remedial training that needs to take place that they're not even aware of. So yes, there's a lot of work that has to be done with training people, and also there are a lot of challenges of just access. And so yes, there are
enough businesses to employ people. It's just getting them to those businesses.
So that's what we're trying to figure out also.
Oh, okay.
Right, we're still in that beginning stage actually.
Okay.
Yes.
No, good.
Yes.
Hi, Ken Portnoy. Today I'm representing local Toastmasters Club. Do you have a notion of what your success criteria might be for this effort? Taking on poverty in the
Yes.
Route 1 corridor is non-trivial. There's probably some steps before that for success that you may have thought about.
Yeah, I think, look, the reality is this is one tool in our toolkit, right? This example, and what we're doing with this work. We do a lot of other things at the foundation that are trying to solve the issues around poverty. And we know that this is not going to, it's not a panacea. But I think that, what we've realized what success will look like is if we could look like Cleveland a bit. And if we could establish or help others establish some worker-owned businesses, or maybe change methods of procurement to focus on local procurement potentially, or having just the whole idea of buying local, staying local potentially in that area. Maybe we could change the face of what this looks like. And also the other piece of this, I think, is we want people to be more aware of what community wealth building is. The idea that we're helping people not only get jobs, but build wealth. How do we help others not only find a well-paying job, but potentially have wealth for their futures, like we all know about, right? We know the value of saving, and we want, hopefully, through this work to kind of spread the word of the value of helping others develop their own wealth, and the mechanisms to do that.
Back?
Yes, hi Sarah, I'm Ann Rosenblum, I'm the Fairfax County Economic Development Authority.
Yes, hi.
And one of the things that came to mind was, when we were talking about procurement, in Virginia, and certainly Fairfax County, there is no, if you have an RFP, there's no extra credit or higher rating if you're a local business. And
Maybe.
that certainly, at least in certain areas of need, could help change the
Yes.
situation. But also in the Route 1 corridor, often we have companies coming to us and say, we're the hub zone in Fairfax County. And I'll say, they're on. It's okay, yes, there is one, it's a shopping center on Route 1, and there are no businesses there because there's no commercial space. So, I mean, somehow to work with the community and the county
Yes.
to set up a hub zone where there really is, where there is room to grow businesses there and have those businesses get extra credit for being a
It's a
local
great
business.
idea.
It seems to me that would be
Yeah, and I want to tell you, we have some, as I said, we have really some nice allies in the county right now, in Carla Bruce and in Kathy Muse. So Kathy Muse, who is a entrepreneurial, great thinker, who when we were talking to her about this idea and what we're doing, she's already thinking. She's way ahead of us with some ideas. So I'm thrilled to tell you that I think that, yes, that's a great idea, and those are challenges. I really believe that we have people around the table that are wanting to think differently. So maybe, yeah, thank you.
Let me do a tie on. John Gaffigan, I'm a fractional time VP of Sales, largely in the green and clean tech community. And to your comment about the hub zone location, there's also a residency requirement on that, which may be difficult in Fairfax for all the reasons that there is not, large swatches of area where you'd have to have half of your W2 staff, living in a hub zone. So it's a great idea, but the practicality and the practice is tough.
This is great information, thank you. Yeah.
Danelle?
Donnell Johns, Vision Worldwide. What you're trying to do is tremendous and great, and I appreciate that. I would think that you would probably find more value in finding out who's out there to be able to support these individuals and be the connector instead of being the person that solves it. And so if a person comes in with one specific challenge, you guys know what organization that will support them. Yes. So be a community connector with a bunch of other organizations that support you in making that happen. And I think you guys can find that a little bit easier than trying to establish a one-size-fit-all for individuals in that county, because people come with all kind of different challenges.
Agreed. So thank you for saying that. And actually, I should clarify. The role of Foundation all along has been really one of convener and connector, as you described. And I think that the ultimate end goal here will be done by someone in that community.
Right.
Meaning, we are not going to create the worker-owned co-op. That's not our role. Our role is to bring people together. And actually, I should back up. Cleveland Foundation in Cleveland was the one who also provided the seed funding. And by the way, it took 10 years for something to happen. Mm-hmm. So we know it's not a quick fix, and we know it is something that has to be done through time, and that maybe the foundation can serve in that connector, convener role with the goal that the ownership can happen from those communities potentially. So I hear that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had a few people come in. Could you state your challenge again?
Sure. Well, so I would have to explain the whole project, but basically we are a community foundation, and we operate in the region as a connector and between businesses, nonprofits, and government. And we are presently working on a project around community wealth building, which is basically about lifting people out of poverty through an economic business model.
Great.
How's that?
Right there.
Yeah, I work a lot with the Arlington Community Foundation. Right. And have you had a chance to talk to your
So we have a nice relationship with Jennifer. Yes,
Okay.
yes, we have. Yes, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Because the idea is to find out what she's doing and piggyback on.
Agree. And we are only starting, honestly, in South County because it was a place to start. I mean, this is a regional conversation, so yes, Jennifer is a great ally, and hopefully we will connect with this. Thank you.
I was already trying
They said this is the drill.
to ignore it.
Oh, I saw that. There was a sign.
It's a test. It's
Yes,
a trial.
yeah,
They're just testing the numbers.
That was my Pac-Man game. I'm sorry.
Somebody turn off the phones.
Right. I know one of your questions is how to get businesses to even know about the foundation. So how many people in the room know that there is a community foundation of Northern Virginia before the presentation? If you can raise your hand if you knew that there was a community foundation. So my question for this group would be, how can the community foundation get in front of you more? If it's through the chambers and doing events like on the upcoming census or on topics that are business related and then teeing up the social piece. But can you guys share where are you and where would you expect to see the community foundation to learn about it, given that you only are just hearing about it today? Because that's really the challenge question, is how to get businesses to know about it and then get involved.
Russ?
Well, I work a lot with vets organizations, and have you reached out to the area, because we have Fort Belvoir and Quantico right here, and once everybody does their 2, 4, 6 years, and the young kids get out, they're usually unemployed and underemployed because they can't figure out how the rest of the business world works, and that is a lot of the unemployment there on the Route 1
I
is
agree.
the guys that just got out that don't know what they're doing.
Right. So Fort Belvoir has been actually on our list. It's hard, really hard, I think, to get in there, and also to make change within Fort Belvoir because it's a national. I have a friend who works there actually who was saying it's really hard to get things kind of within the system. But I will tell you on a positive note. So again about the foundation. So we are very connected, and we've been funding an organization called Serving Together, which is a resource for military personnel and their families, and gives access through a navigator. So anything that someone in the military veteran needs, they can call in or go online and get access to resources. And they have become are experts, honestly, of what's happening within the military community. We also, by the way, just for anyone, if anyone is connected with nonprofits around the military space, we do fund in that area. So please let us know or send military organizations our way.
Gresham?
Yes, Gresham Marcus, Blue 16Me. To piggyback on that, I don't know if you've heard of the Northern Virginia Veterans Association.
I have not.
They're, I do some work for them, so I can connect you with the president.
Please, that'd be great.
Yeah, and the other thing I was going to ask on what Jim was saying, are you guys doing any type of PR and marketing to try to get your name out there
Yes.
with the community? Because I think one of the biggest things that you could do is get people to tell stories about you, and that way that can get your face and name and organization out or whatever.
So it's interesting. We have increased our marketing over the past, let's say, 5 years. We have a great director of marketing who actually, unfortunately, was supposed to be here today, but her child was sick. And she has really upped our game. But I have to tell you, I think that having access to 1 million cups to all of you and the other groups that you're a part of will only help us continue to get our name out. So I'm thrilled I'm here, and I would love to, Jen and I are going to think of some creative ways to continue to kind of get the word out about this presentation, but also just I think the Community Foundation is as well.
Rob?
What's the next step in your process with the Lorton area, the Route 1 corridor?
So I said at the end of January we have this convening with the anchors. We have, by the way, there's a national entity that's helping us work on this project. They worked on the project. Actually, Ted Howard, the guy from Cleveland, basically now has a full organization that works on projects like this around the country. So we are one of, I think, 25 collaboratives that are happening around the country with this work. And the next step is to meet with this group at the end of January, and then the question would be, could we convene a group maybe of small to mid-sized businesses in the same way that we're doing with the anchors? And I think that would be the next step.
Donnell Johns of Vision Worldwide. I think you're standing in front of an office evolution sign. If you think about all of the shared working spaces, that's where entrepreneurs, small entrepreneurs, house themselves. And so if you can, connect with Office Evolution, WeWork, make offices, all of the shared space, co-working spaces in the area, and probably invite them to your organization so you don't have to go to 50 different locations. Create an event where you can talk to them about getting on their calendar and them putting you out in their newsletter.
That's a great idea.
I think.
By the way, I think that's good for the Community Foundation in general, and then also for this project. I think that's a great idea.
I
Thank
never
you.
took
Yeah.
the words right out of my mouth.
That was actually John speaking.
I think that, by the way, I think that's an awesome, it's interesting when you think about it because not all of small to mid-sized businesses, of course, are going to be part of chambers necessarily. So this is these emerging spaces are great places to promote our work. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, John with Fish and Explore again. You said you've already got relationships with Fairfax County and Fairfax County Public Schools. I would put together maybe either newsletter or some sort of push through them to their existing. I mean, I'm contracted through both of those organizations. My business works with both of those with both Fairfax and Arlington, in a number of ways like that. I think that, I'm a small business, and I think there's a lot of small businesses. I know just in my niche, there's over 340 people doing, in my niche, in my group, when we actually have a, like a round table where they bring in and say, hey, we're gonna go over what's working, what's not. So, and I'm a pretty small niche, so I think Fairfax County probably has thousands of partners that they could put you in front of.
That's right.
Yep.
Isabel Harmon, Yellowbird Ghostwriter. So part of my mission with my business as I'm building it is I'm starting as part of my strategy to have a socially conscious mission and purpose. And to piggyback on what Canal said, is that could be a way for you to get in at the ground floor with entrepreneurs, is to help them to build a socially conscious business strategy before they get too big and they may not think about it. Or if there's an organization that's in transition and is looking to change their business model, you could also maybe work through that.
And how would you, so in your mind, how would you get access to those types of businesses on the ground level, potentially at an Office Evolution or, right?
Well, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So we've got this group, like me, I'm a new entrepreneur, and you've got other people who have businesses that are in transition, might be changing their business model, might be a way to plant a seed and then get in and go talk to them.
So right here. Yep.
Rosemary Spina with Gravity. So what you're doing today is awesome. There are a lot of business networking groups in this area that even if you just attend and stand up and say, hi, I'm with Community Foundation, they learn about you. You don't have to attend all of them. You've got board members and advisors. You can ask them to represent in the ones they go to. I'm writing down a list of other places that I know entrepreneurs attend, because I'm going to them as well. And just, if you pick up one or two extra networking events, I've learned that in the Northern Virginia area, that's kind of the best way to find. And then you can, once people see you in more than one, they start to talk about it, and then your network kind of takes on that viral effect for you outside of that conversation.
It's funny what you said about not knowing about the foundation, unfortunately. I think that we are now pretty well known in the large business space. If you look at our gala, there were almost 800 people there. So I think we are known, but I think there's an interesting opportunity here, right? As we continue to grow and want our footprint to be, we're geographically everywhere, but maybe the small and mid-sized small and mid-sized businesses, this may be the way to gain access, right? And through the long term. And you're right, I think there are board members who have networks and are connected to, they're entrepreneurs themselves, many of them, so have access to networks and groups that we have not reached out to. Yeah, it's true.
Right here. Yep.
Hi, Ken Portnoy, local Toastmasters. I think it might be helpful for you to come up with language that clarifies which aspect of small business you're looking for. I have space in one of these communal organizations that rent space. I've got on one side of me a multi-gazillion dollar real estate developer, on the other side of me a sole practitioner, a lawyer, right? The real estate guy's got deep pockets. The solo lawyer is just a solo lawyer. And then I have an acquaintance with a guy who's a nursery on Route 1. Either he still owns it or doesn't own it. It could be a multi-million-dollar business with a huge number of employees.
Agreed. Yes.
So when you say
Yes.
small business to a group like this, it's like, what are you really looking for? What do you really want? Who's your real target across that? And small business goes all the way up to the SBA definition,
Right.
which is a pretty huge business before they kick you out. So I get confused.
So let me just say, I think that it's just gaining access and socializing this idea, right? So I don't want to define the size of a business. It's more about, we want to get the word out about this model and talk about what the opportunities are. And so we want a lot of people at the table to have those conversations. So let me take out my language about small to mid-size. It's more about just really making sure that we socialize and educate people about what the opportunities are around this idea.
That's a whole different thing.
Well, so I think that's where we're at, though. Yes.
Rod, did you have something?
Have you taken a look at the inventory? Because we're talking about SoCo, South County, is
yes.
Being completely challenged. What's amazing is if you look at it in a different lens, it's one of the richest areas in the county as far as what it has as assets. It has the workhouse arts center now. It's not a jail anymore. It's an amazing community that's being built down there. There's marinas, there's horse riding places, there's Fort Belvoir. So I think one of the things is, no matter whether it's yourself or community, how do you build on the strengths that are inherent that are right there?
Agreed.
And I lived there for quite a long time, so I know a lot of people involved there. So if you'd like some help in taking that inventory of people and places, let me know.
And when we first spoke, I mentioned that because I think you'd be a great resource based on your experience there. So
thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go here and then here.
Dan, Open Home Watch. We struggle with working business with awareness. I suspect what works in Cleveland, from Pittsburgh is the word. Pittsburgh's a lot like Cleveland.
It is, yeah.
But there's what works different. Different things work in different areas. And I think the challenge here is obviously awareness. I mean, as I'm sitting in traffic and I'm looking at the person with the Tesla on the side and the person in the Porsche 911 here, it's not money in this area, right? It's just that people make their bets which things you're going to be involved with. And so we need to be at the top of that list. So,
Right, and I think what you said is true, and that's the role of the Community Foundation to continue to get the marketing and awareness out to let people know that we're here and we're doing a lot of things. This is one piece of who we are, but yeah.
So this is not my space, although I was in the space a long time ago as a Peace Corps volunteer. So sustainability is what you look for, right? For the and
yes.
So when Rod brought up Workhouse Arts Center, the whole time me sitting here listening to this is there needs to be education, which I think comes on many different levels. So somewhere near on the way to Twin Lakes Golf Course, I think I saw some kind of vocational school, Workhouse Arts Center. I love going there. I can't praise that place enough. I've sent my son to some classes there. So where I'm getting is that for you to find reliable contractors of any vocation, for you to get kids into a business acumen without being, in a school. I mean, my girlfriend works part-time at Fair Lakes Mall, and those stores are poaching employees from one another because there's not enough of them. So where I'm going with this is maybe the stakeholders, being businesses, come together and figure out some kind of either business school, vocational school, look at what already exists, and they have a program, or you guys facilitate a program where you bring people into the program to get educated, and then the businesses have got basically a farm system of employees
yes.
to go to. And I mean, and when you talk about poverty, I mean, you got people that are just on hard times, but the job rate is fairly low. But then we talk about living wage, I get all that. But where I'm kind of going also is I've got a high functioning autistic son. He probably will be somewhat independent, but he's not gonna have, you know, $300,000 a year job.
Right.
So, you know, there's a whole segment of people, and when you've got 1 in 6 kids and 1 in 4 boys that have got fall somewhere on the autism, they're inevitably going to be in some kind of poverty. So, you know, there's lots of pieces and nuggets to go to that I just gave you right there.
So let me just say quickly, so that is why we have really great nonprofit partners, right? That we fund, that we talk to, this exact reason, because they are gonna be helping us a lot to think through what training programs exist, what need to exist, right? And potentially make some of those happen. So I completely hear you, I agree.
John Gaffigan, outsourced VP of Sales, Green Tech things. When I hear sustainability, that is near and dear to my heart because that's using less precious resources to get the job done. But I want to kind of go back to the poverty alleviation comment. And the fact that you mentioned, I know, but I apologize, I was out for a few minutes, you put the fear of God in me, that they would tow my car or something, so I put a little fire in it. But, you know, if you have Inova in the stock, you take a look at, like, you know, the patron saints of death is like, you know, exploding healthcare costs, exploding housing costs, you know, food, you know, cost of living, you know, taxes, well, all these cumulative burdens are systemic things that are going to hold people down, and people that are kind of like on the fringes are much more susceptible to all of those things. So maybe you're talking with Inova about them putting up some community centers, you know, or walk-in clinics, and you know, people that have special designations, they, you know, they're not paying an arm and a leg, you know, to get services for that. Maybe you go to a Long and Foster or a developer and you try to get some, you know, subsidized apartments or condos or you know, because, you know, housing stock is a huge issue, you know, here. And little things like that that can kind of give people at least enough of a foothold that they can catch their breath. I mean, I think that there's, our economy is very fragile, I think, across the spectrum. So people that are particularly on the edge need a chance to catch their breath. And so maybe some of those big entities can pitch in that way, and it can start to be self-fulfilling as people can put money back into the system and be productive. It, you know, it starts to have a rippling effect to do a hand up, not a hand out. You know, for ASU bootstrapping.
Right.
So I think utilizing your partner, big partners, like I said, George Mason especially, I think you can go into their grad programs and go into their students. I know that was what I did when I went to school in Cleveland. We actually worked with a big advertising company and others, like small nonprofits, and helped brand and give community awareness. And so it was a grad program that you know, did that. So, you know, it's free for everyone else, and great learning and all that. So I think using Mason as that good resource of their professors and their educational programs and what the students can also do, and utilizing all your nonprofit. I don't know if you've already kind of brought them together as, you know, as a group to think of, you know, who's there, how can we work with those businesses. I know you have the big companies, but finding some of those ad agencies to bring that awareness, because it's, you know, pro bono stuff for them, and being able to spread, you know, the word of what's going on in that community. I know that was one of the ways I know Cleveland, you know, started improving.
So who here is from South County area, out of curiosity? Who's ever lived there? Okay. So one thought might be, and I'm just, because I love the area, I think it has a lot to offer. I often call it the East Coast of Fairfax County, that people don't realize that there's a beautiful river over there. But a thought might be, what if we did a 1 million cups type of event over there with all the stakeholders and get LCAC and everybody else that's over there involved, because then I think you can see the real ideas and the real thoughts. And we helped one young man from the Route 1 corridor with a $5,000 loan. He now owns 5 businesses that does about $4 million a year.
Wow.
So that's the amazing thing that can happen when you actually engage and listen. So I would offer to take a 1 million cups type event, and even if it's just one time, do that down in the SoCo area.
That would be just great. So I tell you, if there's anything any of the goals of today, I think first of all, I really appreciate all of your thoughts, especially around also the marketing of the foundation itself. I mean, the fact that we should be out there talking to all of you about our work, our general work, I think is really helpful, and you've given me a lot of food for thought. I'm going to go back and talk to Tara, our marketing person. But I also think that the other major takeaway, if we could do this sort of thing around in that geographic area, I think would be outstanding. You know, in our initial assessment, as I said, very quickly, initial assessment, we really discovered that we have to get access to this type of group because it's the backbone of that area at this point. So I really appreciate your thoughts and your idea.
Jen?
Just a couple of quick thoughts. For January, it would be great to set a goal of how many businesses do you want to be at the table. And if it's 5 or 10 or whatever would make sense, and figure out who should those be so you can invite them and really get people in that room. As I think about roles, and I'd love to get back on the group, people are always looking for someone to do retail, for someone to do admin, for someone to do project management, back office type of work. It would be good to ask the small business community, what's the entry-level job you need right now to scale?
Right.
That you could even do part-time or as an internship program. I would also think about maybe businesses can sponsor training, right? And then at the end of the 6-month training or 90-day training, they get first crack at who are the people in the pipeline.
Right.
So if you could give something to people that's tangible to do right now, that would be awesome. I don't know if this is an award for the Washington Business Journal, but I would talk with them about, is there a new award you could have for workforce development? I know they have their community awards, but I would think about, is that something they could create for next year so that throughout the year, they could also promote the program because they'd be a great marketing vehicle. But you could also have businesses go, this is another way I could get visibility and be a part of that.
Right, of the socially conscious efforts. Exactly right. Right.
That's
a very good point. Right.
Did you have something?
Yes, Catherine Nickel, Marketing Business Development Services. The idea of working with the public schools, especially at the high schools, in the vicinity of those businesses, is just golden. Not everybody coming out of high school is going on to Harvard and Yale. This is a misconception here in Northern Virginia. There's a lot of push where not everybody is going to college, not everybody's going to a big school, but some people need to have additional skills. They may be going to community colleges like Nova, or they may be going in educational programs trained to work. Now, all of us in the cold weather, how many times have you called for HVAC? How many times you have problems with your roof or something like that? I've been moderating a group this winter, Contacts Create Cash, and there's one core member, Kurt Sayas. He has a State Farm agency, his own, just up here on the border of Vienna and Falls Church, and he's right next to Marshall High School. He's established a relationship there so that he gets interns on a regular basis who fight for the back office jobs to supplement his full-time staff. He provides a little bit of training, but there's an expectation for work. So in other words, not all these kids are going on to college and 6-figure income. Some of these people are local here. They walk over from the school, they get training, they're learning how to function in a business environment, that you have proper clothing if you're in the front office, if you're greeting people, or if you're making calls or anything like that. Any business that can be tied into that in the school, it helps the school, it helps the community, and it also dispels the notion that everybody's going to college. Everybody needs purposeful work and the tools to find it.
And we fund, just to give you a sense, we fund a lot of job training skills programs that are, we completely understand that not everyone is a 4-year university student. In fact, I feel like we are funding more and more in this space, recognizing that there's a whole workforce out there that will be trained not through a university education, right? Michael, actually, the guy who founded Michael & Son came to speak at one of our events about he has a full training program for the exact reason you just said. When we need HVAC people and plumbing people, we need a workforce, right? And so we want to support that, of course. It makes sense.
All right. That's all.
Final question?
Or unless we have one final question. Oh yeah, no.
So I get the final question.
Okay.
what can we do as a 1 Million Cups community to support you?
So I think that it's awareness about the foundation and also this project. I mean, I think that there's an opportunity to spread our message around the 1 Million Cups community, honestly. That I think that it's normal for, as I was told, it's normal for businesses to come present weekly, but it's unusual, I think, for nonprofits, or we were fortunate, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity, but I think this could be a beginning of us building a relationship with 1 Million Cups, honestly, to continue to get the word out, and I would appreciate that. So I think that's the answer.
I want to leave you with this, and this is something that I tell my clients.
Yes.
Master the small. The little bitty things that you do on a daily basis turn out to be huge, and so continue to master the small. You guys are doing a great job at that, and thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
If you guys could pass your cards over, just to give you a sense, upcoming presenters. Just so you know, I know you love us, we're not here next week because it's Christmas week. The following week, we're also not here because it's the new year. So these are the presenters that are coming up. Please join us on the 9th for Breckford, for Tune URL after that, and for Technology Innovation Law, LLC after that. So please join us. Do follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can see all of the videos there. And that is it for this week. Happy holidays.